A prince exiled from his homeland becomes the founder of an empire that would rule India for centuries. This is the rise of Babur, the first Mughal emperor. Babur was born on February 15, 1483 in the Principality of Fergana, now in modern Uzbekistan. He would go on to become the emperor and founder of the Mughal dynasty in northern India, ruling from 1526 to 1530. His lineage was extraordinary. He was a descendant of two of history's most formidable conquerors, Genghis Khan on his mother's side and Timur on his father's. Yet, Babur's accomplishments went far beyond his heritage. He was a military adventurer, a skilled soldier, a poet, and a brilliant diarist, while also proving himself as a capable statesman. Babur hailed from the Barlas tribe, which had Mongol origins, but the tribe members, over time, considered themselves more Turkish in culture and language due to their long residence in Turkish regions. While often referred to as Mughal, Babur primarily received his support from Turks, shaping the Turkish character of the empire he later established. His family, linked to the Chagatai clan, was of distinguished lineage, with Babur being the 5th in male succession from Timur and 13th in female succession from Genghis Khan. Babur's father, Umar Sheikh Mirza, ruled the small principality of Fergana, located north of the Hindu Kush mountain range. In Babur's world, there was no fixed law of succession among the Turks, leading to constant claims and wars among the Timurid princes. They saw it as their right to rule over Timur's vast dominions, regardless of whether any particular region had ever been under their direct control. Like his father before him, Babur pursued the dream of reclaiming Timur's former capital, Samarkand. In the midst of continuous dynastic wars, a leader needed to inspire loyalty, manage turbulent family factions, and secure revenue from agricultural and trading communities. Over time, Babur mastered these skills. More than just a skilled politician, he was also a military commander of rare genius, learning to navigate the complex landscape of warfare and leadership. For a decade, from 1494 to 1504, Babur focused on one goal, reclaiming Samarkand. He briefly occupied the city twice, first in 1497 and then in 1501, but his hopes were dashed by a powerful adversary, Muhammad Shaybani Khan, a descendant of Genghis Khan and ruler of the Uzbeks. In 1501, Babur suffered a decisive defeat at Sarepol. Within 3 years, he had not only lost Samarkand but also his principality of Fergana. Despite these setbacks, Babur's leadership and charisma offered him hope. In 1504, he seized Kabul with the help of his personal followers, establishing a firm base of power. He held on to Kabul against rebellions and political intrigue, but his final attempt to retake Samarkand in 1511-1512 proved unsuccessful. Realizing the futility of this pursuit, Babur shifted his focus toward expanding elsewhere. By 1522, his ambitions turned towards Sindh and India, but not before securing Kandahar, a strategic site on the road to Sindh. Babur's first raid into India came in 1519, targeting the Punjab region, which was under the rule of Sultan Ibrahim Lodi of Delhi. However, the governor of Punjab, Daulat Khan Lodi, resented Ibrahim's authority. By 1524, Babur made 3 more incursions into the Punjab, but navigating the complex politics of the region proved challenging. Despite this, it was evident that the Delhi Sultanate was ripe for overthrow, fractured by internal conflicts. A joint plea for help from Ibrahim's uncle, Alam Khan, and Daulat Khan encouraged Babur to launch a 5th and ultimately successful raid into India. In November 1525, Babur set out once more. On April 21, 1526, his forces met Ibrahim Lodi's at the Battle of Panipat, 50 miles north of Delhi. Although Babur's army was no more than 12,000 strong, they were seasoned warriors skilled in cavalry tactics and supported by advanced artillery acquired from the Ottoman Turks. In contrast, Ibrahim's army, with 100,000 men and 100 elephants, was disorganized and relied on outdated tactics. Through the effective use of artillery and strategic cavalry maneuvers, Babur triumphed, killing Ibrahim in battle. 3 days later, he marched into Delhi, and by May 4th, he had reached Agra, where his first order of business was to lay out a garden, today known as the Ram Bagh, by the Yamuna River. While this victory was spectacular, Babur's position remained precarious. His small force, 800 miles from their Kabul base, faced powerful enemies. To the south, the kingdoms of Malwa and Gujarat held vast resources, while to the west in Rajasthan, Rana Sanga of Mewar led a formidable confederacy that threatened Babur's control in northern India. Additionally, Babur's own troops, weary from the oppressive heat and hostile environment, wished to return home, just as Timur had done. But Babur was determined. He used a combination of threats, promises, and passionate appeals, as described in his memoirs, to rally his forces. His next challenge was facing Rana Sanga, who advanced with a vast army of 100,000 cavalry and 500 elephants. Though Babur was nearly surrounded, he sought divine favor by renouncing alcohol, smashing his wine vessels, and pouring the wine into a well. His men, inspired by this act and his stirring speeches, stood their ground at the Battle of Khanwa, 37 miles west of Agra on March 16, 1527. Babur employed his customary tactics. He created a barrier of wagons in the center, leaving gaps for artillery and cavalry charges. His artillery caused chaos among the enemy elephants, and the flank cavalry maneuvers disoriented the Rajputs. After 10 hours of battle, the Rajputs broke, never to rally under a single leader again. Following his victory over Rana Sanga, Babur faced new challenges to the east, where defiant Afghan forces had captured Lucknow. These Afghans had rallied behind Mahmud Lodi, the brother of Sultan Ibrahim, who had taken control of Bihar. In addition, certain Rajput chiefs still defied Babur, particularly the ruler of Chanderi. In January 1528, Babur successfully captured the fortress of Chanderi, eliminating one of the Rajput strongholds. Babur then turned eastward, crossing the Ganges River to confront the Afghans who had taken Lucknow. He drove them into Bengal before turning his attention to Mahmud Lodi. In his third major victory, the Battle of Ghagra on May 6, 1529, Babur's forces scattered Lodi's army at the confluence of the Ghagra and Ganges River. Once again, Babur's artillery proved decisive, bolstered by the skillful use of boats during the battle. With this victory, Babur secured control of the Kandahar to the borders of Bengal. His southern borders were defined by the Rajput deserts and the forts of Ranthambore, Gwalior, and Chanderi. However, within this vast domain, Babur faced the challenge of quarreling chiefs and the absence of a settled administration. Though an empire had been gained, it still needed to be pacified and organized, a daunting task Babur left to his son, Humayun. In 1530, when Humayun fell gravely ill, Babur is said to have offered his own life to God in exchange for his son's recovery. He walked 7 times around Humayun's bed, making a vow. Miraculously, Humayun recovered, but Babur's health rapidly declined, and he passed away later that same year. Babur is rightly celebrated as the founder of the Mughal Empire, though much of the consolidation work was done by his grandson, Akbar. His magnetic leadership set the stage for the empire's future success, inspiring the generations that followed. Beyond this military genius and empire building, Babur was also a poet of distinction, writing in the Turki language. His poetry alone could have earned him fame, separate from his political career. He was a lover of nature, constructing gardens wherever he went, and he was known for holding convivial gatherings in these beautiful settings. His prose memoirs, the Baburnama, stand as a celebrated autobiography, offering an intimate glimpse into his life. First translated from Turkey into Persian during Akbar's reign in 1589, and later into English as Memoirs of Babur in 1921-1922. These writings reveal Babur as witty and magnanimous ruler with an adventurous spirit and a keen appreciation for natural beauty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, please like, subscribe to Prospect Everything for more captivating stories, and share this video to help others discover our channel. See you next time.